Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We are going to be drawing Mabel from Gravity Falls. Is that your favorite cartoon? Yes, it is. So they love Gravity Falls. This is kind of just a random, they were begging me to draw her, so each one of us is going to draw her kind of in our own way, and that is Mabel right there. If you haven't seen the show, it's actually it's one of my favorite kid shows that has come out in the last 10 years. It's a good one. So Kara is going to be drawing too. So we're all drawing this character. So we should have some pretty interesting outcomes with her. But we're all going to be drawing on tone tan paper. I'm going to be using my big pens and markers. So is Elena and Emery. So yeah, let's get started drawing. As usual, I'm starting out with my red Bic pen to do my sketching. This is where I just kind of figure out the pose and kind of lightly draw in the major shapes of the figure. So I don't draw in a cartoony style very often. I feel like my style is kind of like a weird anime, semi-realistic hybrid style, comic book style. And drawing cartoon characters isn't something I do a whole lot of, but I do like to challenge myself with it, and I do learn, especially when you look at the simple symbols for like eyes or nose and stuff that certain cartoon styles use. It can kind of give you a new perspective on drawing those things. And for me, drawing this stuff is actually a pretty good challenge, even though it's much simpler than drawing in a more realistic way. Getting those, like the way a mouth looks or eyes with fewer lines to look the way you want them to is definitely a skill, and it's not easy. Like I remember in high school I used to think, oh, cartoons, like that's not as skilled as like super realistic drawing, but it definitely has its own skill set, and it's just as difficult to do well as a lot of other styles of art. So one problem I always have is sometimes I'll get caught between a cartoony style and how I want to draw, like muscles and things like that. And I'll accidentally like draw muscly legs or more anatomically correct parts, and I have to catch myself because it doesn't look right on a cartoony character. So that's one struggle I always have, is kind of wanting to revert back to how I normally draw versus drawing like a cartoon character. Now, one thing that doesn't change is the simple shapes of an object. Like when you saw me start her, I just used, I drew in the head, the torso, and I built everything around that. That doesn't change if I'm drawing something realistic, or no matter how I'm drawing in those simple shapes to start with is pretty much universal across any drawing art form. I wanted to get a little creative with her sweater instead of just drawing because she does wear various sweaters in the TV show. So I wanted to draw kind of a weird little unicorn cat just to make it kind of weird. That's one aspect of the show. To talk about the show a little bit, in case you guys haven't seen it, it's really clever, well-written show. I'll be either doing work or kind of sitting at my desk doing other things when the girls are watching it, and I've always been surprised at just the writing of the show. I always felt like it was a much more clever. They put more work into this show than most kids' cartoons. The writing is great. I find myself really cracking up at some of the characters, especially Grunkle Stan, who's their kind of uncle, grandpa guy. And I love him. He's an awesome character. It's one of those shows that I think my girls will remember when they're adults. It'll be their nostalgia to kind of go back and look at this show. Right here at this point of the drawing, you guys are watching me outline or go over with a blue Bic pen. And what I do in this stage of the drawing is any lines, red lines that once they're on the paper, I can kind of see when there's mistakes and what kind of things I want to change. And I'll just kind of go around where the red lines are and, sure up my line work with the blue. And then when I add the markers in a little bit, it hides that red even more. So this is where I kind of fine tune the drawing. So when I'm working on tone tan paper and these markers, one of the things that'll ruin a drawing real quick with the markers is to get too dark with your markers. If you use too dark of colors, the the layering shadows that you add later don't show up. I think especially on the tone tan paper, because it definitely makes the markers darker because they are transparent. So you're going to get a darker version of whatever marker you're looking at. Some markers are better than others as far as how bright they are, how vibrant they are on this paper. So experimenting with the different colors you're using. With the skin tone, I have a few skin tones, but they always come out way darker than I want with the Ohuhu markers. This is a Prismacolor, and it's dang near transparent, the color is. It doesn't have very good vibrance compared to some of the Copic markers that I've used for skin tones. So finding a good skin tone to use on the tone tan is pretty key. This one's okay. And then the other thing you can do with skin tone is just use the color of the paper, which is really good. The only issue I've had with using just the skin tone or the color of the paper for the skin tone is I do like how the marker can cover up the red lines that kind of are too abrasive and catch your eye a little too much. So I like to use the marker to cover those up a little bit. So right here I'm using like a violet. There's a few different colors I use for shadows. For a smaller drawing like this one, this marker works pretty good, but I definitely like brush tips a lot better. But these are purple colors. Hydrangea is another color that's really great for shadows. And yeah, this is where I just kind of go through and use the benefit of the markers is the transparency, so I can go right over the top and add my shadows in. So right here I'm taking a dark purple to do her shoes, and that purple is great. I do like having a few really dark spots. It just gives the drawing a little bit more contrast. Right here, I am using my Jelly Roller pen to add highlights like I always do. This is what really makes the drawing pop. Adding those white highlights, really makes it stand out off of that tone tan paper. Just makes your drawing, just jump out off the page. So this is my finished drawing, and it turned out okay. You can probably tell that drawing kind of cartoony characters isn't necessarily my strong suit. If I had done this and wanted to spend a little bit more time, I probably would have used a reference, and I think I could do a really cool version of Mabel in a much more realistic way, which is crazy to think about. This is a very simple drawing. It took 25 minutes or so. But there are definitely people that are very skilled cartoon artists. And I think people a lot of times will look at a realistic drawing and think, oh my gosh, that artist is so skilled. And they won't give a whole lot of credit to people who tend to draw more cartoony styles. But there is definitely a skill to drawing cartoony styles. And I think they don't get the credit they deserve a lot of times. It's hard. And for me, a lot of times it's easier to draw realistic than it is cartoony. Okay, so we're all done. This is Elena's. Right here, she drew Bob, what's his name?
Bill.
Or Bill Cipher. And Waddles. And this is mine. I drew a unicorn kitty on her sweater. This is Emery, who drew Waddles as well. What sweater did you draw? The star one, Ems? Mm-hmm. The star one. And this one's Kara's, and she drew the star one too. So what do you guys think of your drawings? Did you like yours?
Yeah.
Yeah? You like yours, Ems? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Why is she your favorite character?
Because of her personality.
She's just fun, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, babe?
Mine's like the teen version.
Oh, the teen.
She
grew up.
Well, they're like 12 years old in the show.
Oh,
so,
they are.
She wants 817 smile dips.
Oh, really?
And she went crazy.
Did you guys have a fun family drawing sesh?
Yeah!
Yeah? You're crazy, Emery. I think
Mabel.
Emery best personifies Mabel's personality. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I'm Wendy.
Yeah.
I'm Wendy.
You're like a real life Mabel. Anyway, guys, this is kind of an odd video, but I figured I'd post it. It's kind of what we do sometimes on the weekends with our family drawing stuff. So, yeah. I hope you guys liked the video, and we'll catch you later.